Hello, my JPU family. Welcome to another episode of Jamaica Politics Uncovered. If you are a new subscriber, welcome. Returning subscribers, welcome back. Guys, I want to bring your attention to a very urgent matter with the banking system in Jamaica. If you have a bank account in Jamaica, you should be very concerned about this. There needs to be proper legislation in Jamaica and its financial institutions to protect your money and the money of the Jamaican citizens. Member of Parliament Fitz Jackson has been fighting this fight with the banks for many years, and he seems to be the only one taking on the banks, taking on this fight to protect the Jamaican citizen. Deputy Police Commissioner Fitz Bailey recently reported that a total of $306 million reported stolen from customers of financial institutions.
The customer has lost their funds. Sometimes it's difficult. We have to be applying for court orders through the judiciary to get the information, which sometimes slow down the investigative process. And one of the things that I would recommend to this House, that there should be an amendment whereby a court order can only be obtained when someone is arrested. If that is not done, we have to go through the ministerial order. And I think that aspect of the law need to be amended so that an officer can make an application before a judge for a court order before to look at a person's account before the person is arrested. It really impacts on our investigative process.
Guys, you heard that? Even the police are not able to fully and expeditiously conduct the investigation into the loss of revenue. And these are only reported cases of $306 million. What about the cases that are not reported to the police? Now have a listen to the Member of Parliament, Fitz Jackson, and the exchange with the governor.
From the 13th of February 2018, that undertaking was given by the former minister. The current minister, last year,
yes,
in around June, gave that undertaking again. And we're about 1 year, near
Yes.
1 year running.
yes.
Right? So the framework and the mechanism remains outstanding for as long as the problem has been prevailing.
Yeah.
So if I sound a little bit cynical, Dr. Lewis, about what is to come, my cynicism was not plucked out of thin
Yes.
air.
No, I understand, member. And can I say, the process of legislation is so difficult, tedious, and time-consuming in this country. And people tell me it's the same the world through, but I cannot believe it.
No, that is not all true.
We
have seen legislation come to this parliament in 1 day and pass. So it's not a generic problem. It's a selective one.
Well, in the case of Twin Peaks, to start from scratch and to build a market conduct and customer protection legislation, because we have no real history of it, and we don't have a strong foundation starting from, we've had to sit and craft that. And then it has to go to this committee and that committee and back and to the AG. And we have spent a year, remember, a year we have spent trying to get this legislation to the level of cabinet. And we are hopeful that it will get to cabinet in the next few weeks.
Governor, I hear you, but I've been here long enough to know that the speed of legislation depends on the urgency attached to it. We have passed financial legislation at bold speed in this House. So legislations will take long, yes, depending on the urgency that is attached to it.
And maybe the complexity too.
And complexities, yes. But when we have complex problems, we delegate the resources, human and otherwise, and in many instances we also import the expertise when they are not here because of the urgency and importance that we attach to it.
Member, can I say, I absolutely agree with you. And it's not as if we're sitting with our hands tied. We are trying to, as we say, practice Twin Peaks. So all that work that we did with the ATMs recently, for which I know you feel personally connected to, and for good reason, has been done outside of our legislative capacity. We have sat with the banks and said, although we don't have the right to tell you these things, let us work out some standards that are more acceptable to the public and which can serve them better. And that is how we got the recent ATM standards done. So even as we wait for the legislation to be implemented, we are practicing it in reality. And many of the suggestions that have been made here are suggestions that we can go to the banks and start to say to them, can we not address some of these issues? And we will. We're happy to.
I'm going to delay or defer comment on the standards and the promulgation of it since we're dealing with it in the second phase. But to come back to the losses issue, you know, Dr. Lewis, I listened to you addressing the whole duty of care provision alluded to by my colleague. But it seems like it's a very prescribed qualification attached to how far do you go in respect of the obligations of the financial institutions. Because in my layman's term, you are more expert than I am on these matters. When I read the legislation, which is in clear layman's term, in the interest of the licensee and for the protection of the depositors' funds. And when I listen to the comments by Deputy Commissioner of Police, I don't know if you become comfortable, Dr. Lewis, that the financial institutions that you have oversight over, if they are taking sufficient steps to ameliorate the problem that he alluded to. I really don't think so. And come back about the ATM thing and the standards and adherence to it. Even the ABM standards, as you say, in the absence of legislation, when people are suffering out there with the machine, they could have done what has been done in the absence of legislation that only came about because of a parliamentary mandate. So the point I'm trying to make, Governor, is that left on their own, they do the least. They do the least. They don't exert themselves, in my mind, and I think in the public's mind, sufficiently when it comes to protecting the customers. And we heard what the commissioner said. When they report, they say, go and report it to the police. That's what the response is to the banks. Because when you go report it to the police, I don't have anything to investigate. You lose your money, but let the police deal with it. That is the kind of laziness that I referred to in the past as it relates to protecting the customers. People are experienced, for those reported to the JCF, over how many millions, Commissioner? $301 million. And look at the recent data between January and now in the report, there's about 98 reports to now compared to 178 and 79 the year before. We're more than half. At just 4 months in the year, if I just make a correlation between number of reports and monetary loss, it's a significant amount. It's increasing. And then let's go and report it to the police. That is not sufficient. There must be some obligation, Dr. Lewis, for them to put in place and somebody to make sure that they are putting these things in place rather than just recommend it to them in a meeting. It's good customer relationship for you to do these. And so if they don't do it, so what? You say you're a naughty boy and they just continue doing. what they are doing. But while they are continuing what they are doing, people are losing their hard-earned money. That is the consequence of it. And I really don't believe, Dr. Lewis, that with your circumscribed qualification of duty of care, that there is any impetus to really cause them to do it. The record is there. Left on their own, they do the least. And people suffer. So I want more from you. And what I'm disappointed about the governor, every time that the BOJ needs regulatory provision, needs legislative provision, you refer to some of them that is complex and takes some time, and being in government ourselves, we rely, ministers and government rely on regulators to keep them abreast of what is happening in the sector that they regulate, not just from an informational standpoint, but to promulgate the necessary regulation and legislation and amendments. We do many amendments to acts in the parliament routinely to enable the regulator to do their job effectively in protecting the public's interest. The JCF does that.
Guys, let me know what you think about what the Deputy Police Commissioner said and this testy exchange between the Member of Parliament and the Governor. Leave your comments in the comment section. Do you feel safe with our banks and our financial institutions?